Hey everybody, welcome. Belinda Wasser here from the Virtual Assistant Connection. I'm so glad you are all joining me here today. We're going to talk about a topic that I really like because, I think no matter where we are on our VA journey, there's questions about lots of different things. And during this live stream today, I'm going to answer as many of those as I can and really help you find out if this is the career that you want to pursue. I've been a virtual assistant for 10 years now. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions, and it has been an amazing way for me to work from home and to be able to be with my daughter and my family. And it's been extraordinary. And I never realized how, what's the word, fulfilling doing this type of work is, but it really is. So before we jump in today, I want to tell you a little bit about me and get us acclimated. So like I said, I started my business 10 years ago. This is me and my daughter, Emily, back then. And when I started my business, it was not the most ideal time of my life. It was far from that. I think a lot of us want to wait for just the right time. And I think one of the reasons that my business was, or it still is, I still have my business, is still successful, is that I didn't have any, extra time, and busy people are the people that get stuff done, right? I didn't have the luxury of trying to figure it out. So I just had to make quick decisions and really get in there. Anyway, so this is me and Emily 10 years ago, and I was getting divorced. And for anyone who's been divorced, it's very messy, no matter, how much you want it to be easy. It's just, there's a lot of adjustments. I had to move a bunch of times, find a good school system for Emily, figure out how to be a single mom. And the problem was, on top of that, was that I didn't have a job. I didn't know what kind of work I was going to be able to do. And I hadn't paid the mortgage for over a year. And in addition to that, credit card debt to friends. I mean, everybody's trying to help me. And I just am, I'm under it all. Everywhere I look, there's a big problem I have to solve. And a couple of things that I knew, though, I knew I didn't want to go back to the job that I'd had before. The job that I had was in IT. I was on call, and being a single mom and being a mom, I didn't want to miss out on, Emily's growing up. It took me a really long time to get pregnant with her. And I didn't want to miss that. I didn't want to miss that chance of being her mom. So that was out of the question. I had experience as an admin back in the day when they were called secretaries. And I always liked that kind of work. And people came to me often, with, asking me for help. It was kind of ironic. I'd forgotten about that till recently. And, help with, I don't even know, like a Word document or their computer, or how do I do this or how do I do that? And so I was, someone that people came to. So that seemed like a natural next step. However, I didn't have any clients and I wasn't sure where to get them. So I started talking to everyone about what I wanted to do. I thought, if I spread the word, we'll see what happens. And it turns out that one of the dads at the school bus stop had just started a business. I didn't even know that he was doing that. And he hired me. And it wasn't virtual, and it was about probably 15 hours a week. And I was doing things like that I knew how to do, which is mostly the kinds of work that I do. So I went to the Apple store, I bought him a bunch of computers, I installed some software, I paid his bills, I got his mail, very simple things, but he was willing to pay me to do those, to take them off of his plate. My next client I met at a wedding reception. And from there, things just kind of took off. I kept telling people, and it took off. And the thing that surprised me about it was that, well, I'm going to save that point for one more second. Okay. All right. So now if we look 10 years later, it'll be 11 years this summer, almost 11 years later. I've been doing this full time from my home. This is the first time I actually have an office. That I had a nook, a little section in the dining room or a section in the living room, and we're empty nesters now, so I have a whole bedroom, this little bedroom to myself, and it's very luxurious. I've worked with over 200 clients. And we're going to talk a little bit in a minute about, what I call a single point of failure in job security, because that's something that a lot of people worry about. And then the other thing is that in the span of the 10 years I've been in business, I've been able to earn over I was going to say 600,000. I was going to say six figure and 100,000, over $100,000 a year, which equals $1 million. And it's funny, I was just thinking, if someone decides to do this and they stick with it, you don't have to look for a better idea. Being a VA, you can work with really a wide range of people, and we're going to specifically talk about that. Doing work that you love, without a lot of there's not a lot of startup costs. You need a phone and a computer. That's kind of it. And I generated $1 million. And the thing is that I didn't have a huge network. I wasn't like the goddess of LinkedIn. I wasn't, I didn't even really know people who owned their own businesses. So I was really starting from scratch because I'd been in corporate for so long, and people in corporate are not the people who are hiring me. So I really was at kind of a ground zero situation. But the thing that's so amazing is that, so here I am, 10 years into it. And one of my friends said to me right around year 5. So this is me and my daughter, Emily, and my now fiance. We just got engaged on Friday, which is very exciting. That's the first time I've said that. And so you guys all get to celebrate with me. One of my friends said, if you had looked back, or if you had looked ahead and I said to you, 5 years from now, you're going to be in an unbelievably wonderful relationship. Your daughter is going to have, it was hard for her. She's going to be healthy and happy and thriving. Your business completely taken off, making 6 figures, providing for your family. Your debt's going to be under control. All of these things, I would have said she was crazy, but that's what happened. And I no longer, stress out about every time the phone rings, it's a creditor calling me, or, any of that. It's just, here's one of the big things that happened. And this happened this summer. So my daughter needed a car if she was going to get to her favorite activity at college. And she first came to me and I thought, oh my gosh, I am not in a place to buy another car. And fortunately, the universe delivered a car from a family member that I could afford, that we knew the whole history. I felt safe about it. It's an old car, but we had it checked out, and I was able to just write a check, get it registered, and not stress out. And the thing about it was, I felt like I'm like a regular person again. Because before all this happened, I had a job, I had a savings account, I was saving for retirement. And so the thing that I was almost started to tell you a minute ago is that I thought that all of the decisions that I had made up until that point led me to where I was going to have to live the rest of my life from. And that turned out not to be true at all. I thought my life was going to be a struggle. I thought there was going to be creditors and, debt collectors in my life forever. I never thought I would see the end of when that would be handled, and I can. And that was the biggest relief for me and the biggest turning point. And I did it by doing this work. So I hope I'll be able to answer all your questions today. And I've got some congratulations. Thank you. Yes, it's very exciting. It is really pretty exciting. And it was my birthday too. It was my birthday as well. Okay. So some of you are watching not on Facebook. And so I want to tell you about my Facebook group. It's called the Virtual Assistant Connection. And we have over 12,000 members. And this is where, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I was thinking about the Virtual Assistant Connection, I was thinking I wanted to build a container, and I wanted to pour like everything that I knew into into this container where people who wanted to learn how to be VAs were. And that's exactly what I've been able to do. And it is so exciting to see the community and the friendships and the learning and people's businesses taking off. It's really exciting. So if you are not a member of this free online classroom on Facebook, I would love for you to join. You can just type the Virtual Assistant Connection in the search bar in the top and click the join button, and I would love to have you. We are represented by over 47 countries, which is very exciting as well. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. He's very cute. Okay. Okay, so let's start with me sort of laying the ground rules here. And the ground rules are that I want you to interrupt me every time you have a question. Please don't worry about throwing me off. If there's something you came in late and you missed it, that's okay. Ask the question. If you're watching the replay, put it in the comments, tag me, I'll answer it. So, really interactive. I want to start with what is a virtual assistant, because I think that a lot of people think that a virtual assistant is this small collection of very specific skills and application knowledge that they don't have. I see a lot of people talking about being a VA and they feel defeated right away. They think, I don't know ClickFunnels, or I don't know, all of these online things and how to do a launch. And, I don't do that kind of work for my clients. I do kind of everyday work for them. And we'll talk about that, but you don't have to have a niche. We'll talk about that too. It's good to just start broad, wide, and, and with one or two services. That's all you really need to get started with it. But let's read this. Okay. A virtual assistant provides administrative, technical, or creative assistance to clients. But instead of working full-time for one person or organization, he or she works virtually, usually from home, providing the same services to a wide range of clients. Okay. So you'll see technical, creative, administrative. You could even say bookkeeper. That would be a VA. There's lots of different things. The key is that it's virtual and you have multiple clients. Okay. So if you are stressing about what you could possibly do, you would be surprised, and we'll talk more about that. So I've come up with 7 questions that I think they were at the top of a lot of people's minds when I've talked about this topic before, and I'm going to answer them and any question that you have. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Are you ready to work on your own? What do you need to get started? Where do I get clients? How much money can I earn? What training is required? Can I work part-time? And who hires VAs? Let's see, what do we have, Courtney? How do you display that without sending a mixed message on your website? Tell me what you mean. How do you display what? We'll just wait for a minute. Sorry if I lost my train of thought there. I'll keep going. And Courtney, if you would answer what that is, I'm happy to answer it. Okay? Okay. Okay, are you ready to work on your own? Okay, this is a really big one, because for you to be successful and for this, hold on. Can you offer creatives, admin, etc., all the things? Yeah, absolutely, you can. You definitely can. If I knew my way around, graphic design, I would totally have it on my website. One of the things you can do, there's 2 things. One is you can go to the VA connection, and at the top there's a bar, and it says download the ultimate virtual assistant money making task list. You can download that. The second thing you can do is go to my website, my VA website, rocketgirlsolutions.com. Click on services. I think it says services overview, and you can see all of the different services that I offer. And I don't think that will confuse them. One of the things that I teach is how to talk about what you're doing, what you do, and there's a simple way around that. And I'm 99% sure we're going to talk about that today, but if we get to the end, I'll try to remember. Okay. So Do you want to be a business owner? People who are virtual assistants who consider themselves business owners are going to be much more successful than someone who's sort of a helper. So what I mean by that is, when you're a business owner, you decide when you're going to work, you decide what services you're going to offer, you decide how much you're going to charge, when you're going to get paid, and there are things that need to be in place. Now, you don't have to have everything in place when you first start. When I first started with those 2 clients, I did not have a website. I did not have a business name. I was fooling around with my pricing, but I figured it out, and I figured it out pretty fast. But I really treated it like a business. I had a separate business bank account. We're going to talk about that too. And I thought of it as a thing to be cared for. It wasn't me running from thing to thing. And it was, I set up systems, to support the business. So wanting to be a business owner is at the core of it. Okay. The second thing is, are you self-guided? Nobody comes into my bedroom in the morning and says, hey, you got to get to your desk. You have things to do. No one makes sure that I don't drop the ball. No one makes sure that I put in enough hours except me. So you want to have either the habit or the skill or the personality that you're able to project manage yourself and your client work. That's really important. And there are some ways to manage that, definitely. Okay, now let's talk about how much risk you're willing to take. So here's the thing. When, I think I'm going to sneeze. When I first started my business, I thought, I must be insane. What am I doing? I'm going to have to pay for my own health insurance. I'm not going to get any sick time. I am going to, should I be walking away from 401ks? Like, what am I doing? Because I had had a pretty successful career in corporate. But what outweighed that was wanting to be with Emily. And over time, as I started to watch the world around me, the world of people having a job, I realized that they have something that I don't, and that's called the single point of failure. So the single point of failure is your boss deciding they don't want to work with you anymore, right? It's just HR, budget cuts, whatever. I've been laid off before. Right after 9/11, they let go 1,200 people in a day. Boom. So you really want to think about what risk means. Now, yes, I have to pay for my own health insurance, and yes, it is expensive. However, I have the ability to decide how much money I'm going to make based on what I charge and how many hours I want to work. So, one of my friends said to me when I first started out, he was an entrepreneur, and I said, I need to pay for health insurance. He said, just make more money and pay for it. And I thought, oh, okay. It took me a minute, to kind of absorb that, but it's actually true. It's that business owner way of thinking. Now, because I have so many clients, if 3 of them leave tomorrow, no problem. One of my clients decided to move what I was doing to a marketing agency. He was so nervous to tell me, I think, because he's like, oh no, he was trying to protect me. And I said, no problem. I got it. And it's true. I did not sweat over that for a minute. He said, you did a great job. We just changed direction. Okay. And my finances are not going to have some big giant hit. So that's something to consider. Risk and how you feel about the risk. And there are ways too. I mean, I track all the money coming in, do a projection so I know where I stand for the year at any given moment, which, calms down the am I making enough money anxiety. There are things you can put in place so that you know where you stand. All right, so what you need to get started is you need a place to sit, and it needs to be a dedicated workspace. You don't want to be moving your stuff all around all the time. You need a computer and you need a phone. And VA work, because you're at home, it's easy to be called away and come back. And you don't want to you want to keep everything exactly as you need it. You want to have everything around you. It's kind of a joke, but I call my desk my money making cockpit. So I've got 3 screens. My favorite pens are right here. My coffee mug, tea mug, everything that makes me happy and that I need is right here. And I think the only way you can really do that is if it's a dedicated workspace. So this is where I work. This is all it's, no one else sits at my desk. And so that's important. And that's also important for focus, to be able to focus in on your work when you're working from home. The next thing is you need to be articulate about what you do. So this gets back to what I was saying to Courtney. When people are new to business and someone asks them what they do, they tend to act as if it's a trick question. So they don't really think about it ahead of time. And then when someone asks the question, they're not sure what to say, so they just start talking. And they talk. And the more they talk, the more the person who they're talking to is getting confused about what they're talking about. So I teach a way, and for those of you who are in the Facebook group, go up to guides at the top. It's a section of the Facebook community, and there are lots of webinars on how to get clients and how to talk about what you do. And so definitely check that out for more information. But what I say is, my name is Belinda Wasser. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions. I work with solo professionals, people who work on their own, and I act as their virtual assistant. I help them with all the administrative tasks in their business. And then I name 3 things. And to my point with Courtney, I could say all of the things on that page. So I don't know how many things are on there, but 50, I don't know. But what I do is I pick things that people know what they are, like updating PowerPoint presentations, sending out email newsletters, and online scheduling. Now, I do much more than that and much more technical stuff than that, but everybody knows what those things mean. And so as a result, they're able to, think, oh, well, if she does that, she probably does this. Or they'll say, well, what about this? And I'll say, yeah, I do that too. You can check out my services page, but I don't overwhelm them. And once I say those phrases, I stop talking. And so that is really critical to being a VA. It's really a series of a lot of simple, commonsensical things, that make a business work. And then get clear about your pricing so that you can say it out loud, without tripping over your words and being nervous. And you can raise your prices anytime you want on new clients. If you've got 3 clients at one rate and you want to see if you can, how it feels to raise your rate, you can raise them on your new clients, leave your old clients where they are until you figure it out. But somebody once said to me, my client hasn't given me a raise in 2 years, and your client's never going to give you a raise. That would be like going to the dentist and saying, you know what? I think the root canal is really worth $200 more than you're charging, so I'm going to give it to you. Think about it like that. That's how it works. All right, Courtney, what are you saying? You're saying good advice. It's hard to know. It's hard when you know a lot and you can help in a lot of areas. Yes. And I definitely can do that. But you know what? I was just on a free consultation call with a woman who is interested in working with me. I said those 3 things. And what she said was, wow, it sounds like you know a lot about a lot of different things. That's really great. Because in her mind, if I can do one thing, I can do other things, like she pushed the button to expand it. And the point of telling someone what you do is not to get hired right then. It's way too much pressure. And you don't want to try to say the thing that you think is going to get them to hire you. It's more about them understanding, being able to file it in their brain, tell other people about you, and remember you if they need your help. One of my favorite questions, I say this a lot, but one of my favorite questions is, do you like your dentist? Do you have a dentist I can use? I love my dentist. I love him. I could describe how he made a crown for me and it was like purple. I go into all the detail. I love him. He's so professional. And he treats his business like a business, which as a business person, I respect a lot. And anyway, my point is so when someone is having lunch with their friend and they say, oh my gosh, my Dropbox is so disorganized and I don't know how to do this. And what am I going to do about that? The friend goes, you, and says your name, and before you know it, they're on your calendar. So that's why you want to be clear. And that's why I say the same thing. over and over. My family could probably repeat it because they've been hearing me say it for 10 years. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a sip of my drink. Yeah. You know, Courtney, one more thing about that. What I realized was that I used to talk to people on the phone about my services, and there was this point where they would stop talking. And I realized that that was them being completely overwhelmed because I didn't know what to say. So I kept talking. And that's how I learned that the hard way, by just like snowing people, like blowing them, out of the water. Okay. All right. Oops. Excuse me. Okay. Where do I get clients? Clients are everywhere. Clients are everywhere. You cannot imagine, once you start to spread the word in a systematic way about what you're doing. I'm not even actively looking for clients right now, and I have 2 people on my calendar. The one today, we ended it. She said, "Okay, what are the next steps?" I said, "Oh, go buy some time. Here's the link." And she said, "Okay, I will, and I'll be back in touch." And I don't know if she's going to do it today or next week, but she's clear on the next steps. She got all of her questions answered, and she might just go away. But you know what? Here's the beautiful thing. Our industry is growing so much, and it's because the need is growing. And then now with the pandemic and people working from home, they're starting to see it's possible. I don't need an office. I have clients all over the world, and they don't need me to be right outside their door for me to be effective and efficient with them. And now people are seeing it even more than before, because I remember when there was resistance to this, and I just had to say, "Oh, it's simple. This is how it works." And you just explain it to them. But they really are everywhere, and we're not competing with each other at all, not at all. And one of the big reasons is that I teach something called the sprinkling method, and it's all about like sprinkling yourself everywhere you go. So, I talk a lot about this, but email newsletters, keep in touch emails. You can look at the blog at the vaconnection.com. It is the vaconnection.com. So much information over there about that. And it's just a matter of staying in touch with people over and over. You just keep doing that in a friendly way. There's no sales involved, and it's really very simple to do once you figure it out. And there's systems for that as well. So you don't have to worry about, finding clients, because really they are everywhere. Okay. Now, I'm going to just pause for a minute and see if anybody has any questions before we go on to talk about money. Okay, pop them in if you've got them. Okay. So, how much money you earn really depends on your skills. But more than that, it depends on your confidence. Confidence is a critical piece of pricing, because it gets down to a simple math equation. And that is your hourly rate multiplied by the hours you work equals how much money you're making. And so there's a couple of things there. You have to make sure that you do that math, because I've heard a lot of VAs say, "I'm working all the time and I'm not making any money." And and my questions are, how many hours are you billing, and what's your hourly rate? And it's like I waved a magic wand, because we don't tend to think about that. And so it's important to do that. The thing is that if you're, if you want to earn $50,000 and you want to work 20 hours a week, you just have to figure that out and be confident enough to ask for it. Now, I have had people say all different things to me about how much I charge. So check this out. This was in I think a 2-week period. One woman, she asked about my pricing. So I had 3 discovery calls. One woman, she said, how did that conversation? Okay. She wanted a whole bunch of stuff done in 5 hours, and she was okay with my rate, but she wanted way too much stuff. And I'm pretty fast, but it was an unusual amount of work to put into 5 hours. So I explained that to her. She decided, that was her budget. And I said, great, good luck, and I told her I thought it was too much to expect someone to do, but that's what she wanted to do. Okay, no problem. The second call in that brief period of time, I told the woman my hourly rate, and she said, that's on the high end. And I said, it is, because she's right. It is on the high end. But I didn't spend a lot of time explaining anything. I said, you're right. It is on the high end. I didn't lower it. I didn't change my mind. I didn't feel bad. It's on the high scale. And I've had over 200 people pay me that amount. So everyone's not a good fit. The next call I had with someone, we talked about everything. I said, have you had a chance to, to look at my pricing? It's on my website. She said, no. And I said, this is how it works. And she took not a minute, like a beat. And she said, that sounds good. And I said, great. We're having a love fest. The first person would be dissatisfied with my, the amount of productive work I could provide for that 5 hours every month all the time. The second one would be complaining about how much it cost all the time. The third one, who hired me after the first week, sent me an email. She said, my team and I feel so much love from your work because I can relax. She's cool with the pricing, and I'm doing the work. So it really is. It really does depend on you. And I want to tell you my story so you can sort of see the path. When I first started out, I didn't know anyone else that was doing this kind of work. And I was in corporate, and I had been out of corporate for a number of years, but the last time I was in corporate, I was making right around $100,000. I think, I don't even know, like $110,000 plus benefits. And that's roughly $50 an hour. So I thought, okay, so the marketplace has said my brain is worth $50 an hour. I'll start with that. Let's see, I'm just reading this comment. I'll talk to you about that in just a second, Courtney. She's asked a question. So I started at $50 an hour, and people were not, and I put it on my website. And the reason I put it on my website was because since I had been in corporate, I'd been a director of, application development, which is mainly meant I was a project manager asking people, did you do whatever it is we need to have done? And I didn't want people to think I was consulting, because consulting, especially where I lived at the time, that's like $300, $400, $200 an hour. And that's not what I was doing. And I was not capable of doing that. And I did not want to do that. I wanted to do VA work. So that's why I put my prices on my website. And what happened was, over time, I raised the pricing, a little bit at a time, until I actually got all the way to $120 an hour. And then I realized that people weren't giving me a lot of work. I was having no problem bringing on new clients, but they weren't giving me that much work because it was expensive. So I went down, and now it's at $90 an hour if people buy 10 hours, and it's $100 an hour if they buy 5. And that seemed to be the sweet spot. And I've been doing it like that since 2016, and it feels like the right amount. I'm satisfied with it, and my clients are, they're happy, and that's how I figured it out in the end. But what I did was at the $50 an hour, I got, 6 clients. And as soon as I felt like that was going to work, I raised it to 60. And then, I kept going until I got to where I am. So Courtney has a really great question. Do you find that pricing is best per hour or package? So when I first started out, I was charging flat rate. So the client would come to me and, oh, you know what? I want to mention something that I did not mention before about clients, and then we'll get back to this. When someone asked me recently, where do I get my clients? The answer to that is my clients find me, because of the sprinkling method, they just get on my calendar. I network, I do certain things, but I never go looking for clients. They find me because I'm on social media, because I go to a networking meeting, because I invited them to coffee, all of these different things. But that's the beauty of having a business like this, is that we're in such high demand that we don't have to go looking for clients at all. So I just wanted to say that before I forgot. Okay, so when I first started out, I did flat rate. The client had to figure out what the project was. I had to do research. I had to write a proposal, pick a price. I am already working and I am not getting paid. And that made me unhappy. Plus, I could give them the solution, which I had to figure out, or the steps before I could pick a price, and they might change their mind when they see my price. So now I've worked and I haven't gotten paid. So then I decided I was going to do monthly retainers. I'd seen a lot of VAs do that, and I was having another thought. And the problem with the flat rate is that we always went out of scope. The client didn't know enough about, I'd say, do you have a PayPal account? And they're like, yeah. Well, I didn't ask the right question. I didn't say, do you have a business PayPal account? And so now all of a sudden that's an added step. Or, there's lots of stories about how clients don't really understand, which is why they need us. But I would be out of scope all the time, and that just didn't work. So after doing that a couple of times, out of scope, what I mean is things needed to be done that were not part of the project. And then, so I decided monthly retainer. That was going to be great. And I would be able to know how much money was coming in. It would be like I had a job, cash flow, great. And what happened was, my clients, the way that they work, they don't need a set a number of hours every single week. It just doesn't work like that. They'll be on a big project with their client. They'll need me for 5 hours. Then they might not need me for a month. And so when the second month came around, they were saying, hey, I didn't use my first hours. What are you talking about? So then I got the idea that people could prepay 5 or 10 hour chunks. I call it the Rocket Girl debit card because my company is Rocket Girl Solutions. And it's not an actual debit card. It's just like it's a virtual debit card, and the time is good for a year. And so what happens is I get paid up front, and then people use their time. Some clients buy a debit card every 2 weeks. Some buy a debit card twice a year, and it doesn't matter to me. And that's how I have so many clients all at once, and the work just, flows in and out. But so I charge by the hour, and they buy by the package. So I hope that answers your question. But I strongly recommend getting paid up front. I don't have to do any invoicing. I don't have to chase anybody. And the other thing is, if someone said they wanted to work with me and then they started sending me work, I would start working. Where if somebody says they want to work with me, like this woman today, let's say she sent me an email with 5 things to do, I'd say, awesome, can't wait. Just want to make sure you have the link to buy your debit card so I can get started. I also don't have to talk about money with clients. I don't have to chase bad debt. And what happens is I send an email every Monday morning letting them know how much time they have left. So what happens is they reload their debit card. They just go and buy more time. And every Monday or Tuesday, 2 or 3 people do that. And we never have to have a conversation about that because they get an email. And so it's really nice because it separates the money and the work. And I have zero stress about getting paid. I never have to wonder, like, I don't know about this person. I'm getting a bad feeling because they've already paid me. And so that's how that works, I think, best. All right. I'm glad for you guys have all these great questions. All right. Any more pricing questions at all? Okay. Let's talk about training. Now, when I first started out, I knew Constant Contact. I knew Microsoft Office. I was not a wizard at Microsoft Office. Like, I can move around Excel, add stuff up, but I don't know, I don't even know what a pivot table is. But I'm enough. I know, you only need to really know a little bit more than your clients, honestly. And the thing is, sometimes they even know how to do the work. They just don't want to. so that's helpful. That's helpful as well for them. And I knew a tiny bit of HTML because I'm going to date myself. I built a website on AOL in the dark ages when my nephew was born a really long time ago. But other than that, most of the things that I did, I did some project management, but I don't do that so much for clients. I do all kinds of things, but not what I did in corporate at all. So I mentioned the virtual assistant money-making task list earlier today, but for people who are just joining us or join later, you can go to thevaconnection.com, and at the top, you'll see a link where you can download this list. It's 12 pages of all the different things you can do as a VA, and I'm sure there are things in there that you can do that are not on the list. But you can really, like I said, my first virtual job was paying this guy's bills, and today one of my clients asked me to set up her Calendly account. That's something that, with YouTube and poking around, you can figure that out, and then once you do it once, it. I think the biggest skill that's required to be a virtual assistant is the willingness to learn new things and figure it out. And what I do now, I had no idea how to do when I just started, and that's okay. So many things can be discovered in Google, just Googling it. And I used to be embarrassed about that when I first started working with clients and I didn't know the answer. And now I literally say to them, hold on, let me Google it. And then I'll walk them through, because, if you Google how to reset your whatever and, name the application, the instructions come up right there, 1, 2, 3. And I would say, okay, hold on. And I would tell them it's not that they can't do that. They don't want to. They want me just to tell them, So a lot of things that you wouldn't think someone would pay an hourly rate, for, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. Okay. And then the thing that I think is important is the business of running a business. And that's what the VA Connection really focuses on, is how to teach people, how to fire a client, how to onboard a new client, how to talk about your pricing, how to set it up. That's really what I'm committed to teaching everyone is just that, the business of running a business. Because when you're working alone, it's not easy. And, we've got friends trying to help us who don't really know, the voices in our head, which are not always that helpful. And the self-doubt can just, completely overcome your brain. And so that's why I love having this community, because those voices can be quieted and you can get some confidence about what you're doing and some courage and have a successful business. Okay, can I work part-time? Yes. So you definitely can. There's a couple of really key points to that. You want to consider the type of work. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So one of my clients, I have 3 monitors, and one of the monitors is dedicated to him. He's my biggest client, and he needs me the most. He needs me every single day. And when I get an email from him, I have my own email address at his domain. And when I get an email, it makes a sound, so it gets my attention. And I don't drop if I'm in the middle of something, I don't drop what I'm doing, but I am alerted that he needs something. And what happens is, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. So a client like that is not who you want to work for part-time, because they will get frustrated and you'll be running around all the time. The reason that works is because I'm at my desk pretty much, from 8 in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And, I'm not here every single second, but I'm here frequently enough that if he sends me an email, I could get back to him within an hour. And so he has the benefit of having a full-time assistant but only paying for the time that he's using. So when you're thinking about your rates, consider that. That's an unbelievable benefit of having a VA, right? That you can send them things, and if they're full-time and they run their business, the way I've chosen to run mine, then I can get back to him. So you don't want that client if you're part-time. What kind of work you can do, though, is like I do a lot of website updates and PowerPoint presentations, formatting them. And I also do newsletters, email newsletters for people where they send me the text and I put it into MailChimp and I send them a test and, take care of their list and things like that. And that kind of work client will give me on Monday, and it doesn't need to be done till Wednesday or Tuesday. So I have a full 24, 36 hours, and I can figure out, do I want to do that at 10 o'clock at night, or do I want it when I get up in the morning, or do I want to do it right now? And so building those kinds of relationships, with people who know, and a key to that is setting the expectations. On Friday, I took the day off. I only told one person. I told Bob, because Bob thinks that I'm sitting here all day long, and he asks me things, and he's gotten used to me answering him in a timely way. I didn't tell everybody else because I knew that I had 24 hours and no one was waiting for me. I made sure that I handled everything. There were nothing was hanging out, and I looked at my phone a couple times during the day because I just do, and everything was fine. So, but by setting expectations and then a consistent schedule. A consistent schedule is key. And things come up, like on Friday, I took the day off. However, if you want to work part-time, you just need to let your clients know these are the hours when you can expect a response from me, or you'll get a response within 24 hours or something like that, so that they're not wondering, did she get that? Does she know? And that goes a long way too. When I get a request from a client to do some work, I'll email them back that day, and I try to do it not immediately, but within an hour or so, and just say, got it, thanks, give them a date when I'll have it, or if they've asked for it on a specific date, I say, no problem. So that way, because we're working virtually, we need to jump up in front of them. And this is a way to let them know, okay, she got it, and she's on it, and the deadline's going to be met. So a consistent schedule, and you can definitely do it part-time for sure. All right, so we talked, this is the seventh question, who hires virtual assistants? And it's really anybody that understands what we do, right? That's at the whole core of it, is being able to explain what we do so that people understand. Small business owners, authors, financial planners, coaches, I've hired virtual assistants before in the past. I have people helping me all over the place. I've had people helping me with writing. I have people helping me with graphics. They're all over the place. So the virtual piece is really, you might need to walk them through it a little bit. But for the most part, there's hardly anything that you can do in person that you can't do virtually, other than file physical papers. Somebody came to me the other day and they wanted help with organizing their finances for taxes, and it involved a bunch of receipts and stuff. And I said, just mail them. I've had clients mail me surveys that they want the data entry done, or a big bag of business cards they wanted me to scan. They just put them in the mail. It's like $4, no big deal. So, that goes a long way. And here we are here. These are the questions that we talked about today. So let's take a minute and see if any other questions have popped up. And don't worry, there's no silly questions. There's absolutely a high likely that I forgot to tell you something. So, and there's no questions that I won't answer. So if you have anything about, pricing or getting paid or any of that, or, a skills question. All right, so here's what to do next. If you're not a member of my free online classroom, the Virtual Assistant Connection, please scoot over to Facebook and join me. I would love to have you. Just click the join button. There's a couple questions to answer, and you'll have access to so many resources. So I'd love to have you over there. And the other thing is, on Monday mornings, I send out an email newsletter all about ways to get, I'm trying to think of what it says, better clients in less time, making more money. So if that sounds good, go over to the VA Connection, and you can see where you can subscribe to the VA Buzz, my my weekly newsletter. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And you'll also find out about events that are coming up and trainings and things like that. So that's what I've got for you all today. You've been awesome. Thank you for all the questions. And I'm just going to be here for another couple minutes in case someone has a question that comes to mind, and then we'll sign off. But if you're considering this, I have to say, no regrets. I have loved this. I've loved the flexibility. I've loved the amount of money I've been able to make, and the freedom that I have. You know, I work a lot of hours and I work hard, but I'm having lunch with friends on Friday and I didn't have to ask anybody. And there's a lot of power in that. There really is. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thanks for all the great questions. And if you have more, just tag me in the virtual assistant group. Okay, bye-bye.